What is up, guys, and welcome to the very first episode of F1 2020 Career Mode. Today, we will be creating our own Formula 1 team, becoming the 11th team on the grid, and we are going to see if we can become the first owner-driver to win a championship since Jack Brabham, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I would love to follow in a fellow Australian's footsteps and make history in the sports, albeit virtually. But, you know, this is as close as I'm gonna get. We're gonna have to do this virtually. But anyway, here we are for the first episode. Guys, I'm so excited for this. If you are as well, make sure you leave a like. That'll really help push out the video to attract new people to the channel. If you're new around here, make sure you subscribe to see plenty more F1 2020 content. The floodgates have now opened now, the embargo is out there, and I can upload as many videos as I like on F1 2020. So if you like F1, this is the place to be. Later today, I've got some amazing videos coming out, one of which is an online video, which is, trust me, it's a sick race. But today, we're focused on career mode. We're just doing the usual housekeeping bits. We're picking our character, our driver, we're going to pick our team colors, our driver suits, literally everything. I will say at the start of the game, you're not going to have much choice. It's a bit disappointing for me because they've now introduced this thing called the Podium Pass, and they've held back a few items at the start. I understand why they've done it, but at the same time, it's a little bit disappointing to see that there's not much choice at the start. So what you need to do is play the game more to unlock more items that'll come in a little further down the line. So just bear in mind that once you see my team, my car, my driver suit, my helmet, everything, it is all subject to change. So I'll probably have a completely different looking car halfway through the season than what I do now, and that's simply because I'll unlock more things later. But anyway, here we are for the sponsor select screen. This is a very, very important choice now. So I'm going to get serious for a minute here. Pick your sponsor wisely, because the further up the pecking order you go, the higher the signing bonus will be, the higher the goal and weekly income will be, but so will the objective that is required, the expectations from the sponsor. If you pick the top team here, 5.2 mil, they want 25 Constructors Championship points out of you, and in a team which is a startup, which is essentially a backmarker, if you're on the right difficulty, that's impossible. I personally don't think that's possible. So I am going to go for something that's a little bit more realistic. The sponsor that I'm actually going to select here is Distort. It's a 4.7 mil signing bonus. They want 8th in the Constructors, which I don't think is unrealistic. I think with some good development, with some lucky results here and there, you never know, I think we could get that. But it's very important you select something that is realistic to achieve at the end of the season, because that end of season bonus is going to be crucial to setting you up in the following year. So we'll touch upon that more as we delve deeper into this career mode. But here we have the power unit select screen. Ferrari is the best power unit at the moment. That, of course, is going to be altered because we have now seen the results of the Austrian Grand Prix qualifying, and the Ferrari is not the best power unit anymore. So, just my one word of advice is do not pick the Ferrari, because Codemasters are going to nerf that thing, and you're going to pay all this money up front, but I don't imagine that you're going to get the refund back once the balance happens. So stay away from the Ferrari if you can. Pick the Mercedes. That might be a car that gets buffed, or an engine that gets buffed, and you'll have already cheaped out at a lower price. I should have probably picked this now, but I did record this a long time ago in my defense. We now move on to the teammate select screen. I picked the Honda, by the way, just in case you missed that. I've gone for the cheaper option. I'm going conservative because I want to save money for once we hit the ground running in the season. I want to upgrade my facilities because that is very, very important. But now we're picking our teammates. Nick De Vries is the obvious choice, 2 million. Best rating, and he is the F2 champion of the previous year in 2019. But again, I want to have money up my sleeve. So I'm going for the smart choice here, and I'm going to pick Mick Schumacher because he's a decent rating. I believe he's in the 60s, but his pace is really good. He's got 75 pace. Look at everyone in this choice list here, and none of them really stack up against Schumacher. So I'm going to pick him. He is lacking a little bit in awareness and racecraft, and experience is about the same as others. But his price and his pace is what really attracts me to grabbing him. And I feel like having a fast driver, at least at this early part of the career mode, is going to be crucial because we don't have the car under us to get the results that we need. So having a fast driver, he may be inconsistent, but if he can snag that odd point or two, man, that could prove very, very crucial in our Constructors Championship. But here's the car. We've opted for an orange and black color scheme. We've only got 5 liveries to choose from, which is really disappointing. If I had the choice, once I upgrade my podium pass and get more options, I will be changing the livery itself, and I will be changing the colors to something that's got a lot of colors. It's got like a really flashy looking design. One thing that probably won't change is the badge here, our logo. The color scheme might change, but we'll have to wait and see. But that is the car, essentially. It's a little startup. We're probably going to be the slowest car on the grid, but we are going to work our way through the field, and hopefully by the end of Season 2, Season 3, Season 10, I don't know how long this is going to take, we'll hopefully be the best team in Formula 1. Winning the Constructors is the end goal, and I'm really excited for this. Winning the Constructors is something that I don't do often in F1 games, so I'm going to need a really good team, a good teammate. Everything is going to need to go right, and I can't wait to get this journey started. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Okay, we're live in 5, 4, 3.
Hello folks, and welcome to the HQ of Formula One's newest team. We've been invited backstage to gain an exclusive insight into what could be one of the most exciting entries in the sport for many years. Now, we've seen a number of new teams enter the sport over the last decade, amongst their number Manor, Caterham, HRT and of course Haas. And while some have proved to be successful, others have morphed into different teams and some have disappeared completely. What marks this team out though as being something different is that its owner is also its driver. Now, there's a rich history of that in Formula 1 too. Sir Jack Brabham, John Surtees, Graham Hill and Bruce McLaren all drove their own cars in the sport, but it has become increasingly rare in recent years. What's very special about this team though is that while the team itself is new to Formula 1, so too is its driver and owner.
Whatever happens this season, you've already made the history books. Tell me, do you feel up to the mammoth task of both managing and driving for a Formula 1 team?
Not really. I mean, sometimes I struggle to get out of bed before midday, so organising an entire Formula 1 team while driving it, that is a very new challenge altogether.
Every team needs 2 drivers, but what was it that drew you to your teammate?
Like I said, he's a very pacey boy. Obviously having the Schumacher name is going to attract a bit of attention. Could help with the old sponsors. So, yeah, he was actually the smart choice. So that's why I went for him.
No one aims to finish bottom of the table. Who's the team you're aiming to beat?
I'd say Williams, but I feel like that might be underselling us a little bit. So I'm going to say AlphaTauri. And bear in mind, some of these questions coming out that we're getting now, I need to answer these seriously because they will affect our whole team.
How are you expecting the car to feel out on track?
So now this is where we choose what kind of philosophy or handling characteristics our car is going to have. And in the end, I've gone down the path of, I think, making the car as responsive as possible. That'll help the downforce. So yeah, having a good base is crucial.
The other teams now have years of experience, both on and off the track. How are you planning to catch up to them?
Again, we have to pick this one carefully because whichever one we choose will boost that department. So I'm actually going to go down the path of reducing drag, and this is just in an effort to make up for the engine, which is lacking compared to the other teams.
Overtaking is a key part of this sport. How have you ensured that your car can take advantage of each opportunity that comes your way?
Again, another boost. I think this time we are going to choose the chassis option because having a really good chassis is crucial, and I've gone for the triple-pronged one, and that being reducing the weight of the car, which helps in all areas.
And finally, which of your new departments are you most proud of?
Again, we are going to complement the chassis department, and yeah, it'll just help that side of things that much more. There's so many upgrades that I want to do chassis-wise, redistribution, helping with the balance. Obviously, weight reduction is really important too, tire wear. And every time I answer a question for chassis, it piles on more and more upgrades for that department, so it's the obvious choice.
Well, that's about all we've got time for here. We will see how this fledgling team fares in its first Grand Prix.
Okay, great, thank you. That's a wrap.
And there we go. We now move on to the home screen, essentially, of career mode, and this is where you plan out your activity timeline. So we have a limited amount of time between Grand Prix to plan out sponsor arrangements for driver training, research and development, and we can only pick certain things. So the choices we've got there, we'll go back to them in a minute, but you can, yeah, focus on different areas, and there's so much choice of this. There's so much variability. No one's career mode will be the same as anyone else's. In this screen here, you can see we're just looking at the aerodynamics facility department, and this is where you spend your money that you have saved up or earned over the course of your career mode. And this is why I've been conservative with some of my choices with my teammates, with my engine supplier, and this is all in an effort to retain money so that we can upgrade our facilities like our simulator, our personnel, our aero and chassis departments. These upgrades are broken down into 4 factors: increasing simultaneous developments, increasing the speed of your upgrades, improving the quality control, and there is one final one, which is you can also pay to upgrade the amount of resource points that come in every single week. So yeah, money is what makes the world go round, and it certainly is what makes the F1 world go round in terms of your success. So yeah, there's so many areas to look at. Not only like the financial side, but we also got to spend our resource points carefully, go for the right upgrades, hope that they don't fail. Yeah, it's going to be crucial to make sure we upgrade the quality control as soon as possible. And also here, we're just balancing our time. We have to fit in our different activities within the various events that we have. And I've decided to chuck in the 7-day activity before the car reveal, because after the car reveal, there isn't a block of 7 days where I can chuck in a bigger activity in there. I know this might be very confusing for everybody, but this will get easier over time, and I'll try and explain it as best I can. But you can see whatever option we pick there at the bottom, it tells you the different facets that are going to benefit from that. We're advancing time, and every week we get more resource points coming, we get more money come in, we also have money go out for our expenses. But now we have the car reveal. And there she is, the B-Tech McLaren of Marduk Motorsport. Yeah, we're heading to the first round in Australia now, and you can see we're actually better than Williams. So we've set ourselves up quite well while not spending too much money. We've moved on to just about before the Australian Grand Prix weekend, and we've accumulated a lot of resource points there. 1,700. We'll continue to upgrade, and you can see the upgrades that have already been applied. That being thanks to the answers we gave to Will Buxton. We're also going to go for a major weight reduction upgrade, which you'll do nicely. And we're going to go for rear downforce, because we've got a lot of front downforce, but we need rear just to help balance that out. But we're going to move on to the Australian Grand Prix now. Our car is a little bit bare at this stage, and that's only because we have one sponsor, a main sponsor. We can attract another 4 sponsors over the course of the season. That's just determined by your team acclaim level, which we will raise as we go on. But it is time for practice 1.
Hey boss, this is Jeff. Just wanted to say thanks for trusting me as your race engineer. I won't let you down. The car is ready to go, but it's brand new of course, so there may be a few issues here and there. We'll be keeping a close eye on all the data.
Cheers, Jeff. Don't let me down. If you do, then I will be a very harsh boss, and I will fire you. I'm not just a driver anymore. I run the whole show, so don't annoy me. Track acclimatization. Let's fire this baby up.
Let's get a few laps under our belt.
And out we go. I'm surprised the car started up, to be honest. Anything that's owned and run by me, I'm just surprised that it's all working well. Normally, you see so many teams that start up in Formula 1 in years gone by and just everything go wrong. Well, the driving side is going a bit wrong there. But what I will say is from these first couple laps, I actually had a sticky throttle. Just watch the telemetry. I do have a little bit of throttle trace, which is carrying over. And that was evident in this first run here. So it seems like in F1 2019, we had the brake pedal not calibrated. 2020 is the year of the throttle pedal not being calibrated, it seems. Not going fast enough or going too fast into braking zones, but either way, that was pretty funny. It wasn't a fault of the car, I will say that. It was actually a fault of my pedals, which are getting a bit old now. They're getting a bit of dust in there. So I'll need to upgrade my IRL facilities and pay to win, I suppose. But so far, we're just circulating. We're running through our program that we need to do, accumulating resource points, getting a feel of the car. I did have a bit of a shunt with the wall, a very light touch. I'm running on simulation damage, guys, and I'm running with no assist. So this is going to be a very, very difficult career mode, very authentic as well. But we end up last out of anyone. The car didn't feel horrible, to be fair. It was a little bit rough in power delivery. I was losing the back end a little bit through the middle sector. As we now move on to practice 2, we've got our teammate going up our inside on a race run. Mick, what the hell is going on there? Here's the replay. Jeez, I'm going to have a stern talking to him after this practice session is over. He's on his first strike. 3 and you're out. But again, practice 2, I think we got last out of anyone. So I'm not... Oh, no, I didn't get last. I got P16. 2.1 seconds off the pace, though. But we did use the soft compound tyre in front of the likes of Haas and AlphaTauri and Williams. Williams are going to be very close rivals with us over the course of the season. They may be slower than us on paper, but yeah, we're going to have to keep our wits about us if we are to stay above them in the development race. But we now move on to qualifying now. I know this is turning into a very long video. I think this is going to be near on 40 minutes. So I appreciate you guys who are still here and going to watch through to the end. You guys are the OGs, and I really do appreciate you. But we're getting into the serious stuff now. We're now going to find out just how fast or slow this car is. A couple of setup tweaks, lowering the tyre pressures, because I have a feeling that the tyres overheat pretty easily on this game, and just so lowering those just helps keep us in the game a little bit with the AI. Last out of anyone who has set a time with the first runs in the books. 3.2 seconds off the pace, which is not great so far. But at least our teammates and the Williams are at least at arm's reach. So we shall see how close we can get to them. My first lap wasn't great. I lost a lot of time out of that previous corner, which is why you're seeing the Delta go flying up, gaining 5/10 out of that one corner alone, which is pretty crazy. We come up to the line. I lost a bit of time in Sector 3, but we do improve to a 22.4. Still, again, last out of anyone who has set a time. We're 3/10 shy of Nicholas Latifi. Our teammate, though, is 1.2 seconds faster than us at this stage. Very scary. I've increased the front downforce, and we've wound back the brake bias to 52. We can actually be quite aggressive on the brake bias on this year's game. It is a little bit harder to lock up, so you can, I don't know, really play around with that a little bit more. I've lowered the fuel load in the incoming setup run And we're just going hell for leather on this final lap. Last throw of the dice here. Mick Schumacher gets demoted to P19 there. Our Delta still says we're 6.5 tenths up, but I don't believe that. I don't think this lap is incredible in comparison to the last lap. I think we're up, but I don't think we're up by that much. So I think the Delta is lying to us to some degree. Final couple of corners. It does seem like a much better lap than last time, but we'll see what the true damage is as we come out of the final corner. Punch it with full throttle. Open the DRS up to the line. And it is an improvement of only 2 tenths there. I just did catch that in the top right. But unfortunately, it's not enough to get us off the last row of the grid or even last place in qualifying. It is P22 out of 22 in this Australian Grand Prix. And I tell you, my qualifying pace is absolute rubbish. But if you compare that to just the games in the past, the AI are ridiculous over 1 lap pace. So I'm hoping as we move into the race, we'll be a lot more competitive. So wish me luck.
Tough luck there. It's not quite where we'd want to be on the grid, but chin up, it's not the end of the world.
Months of rumour and speculation all come to an end today as we return to Melbourne for the opening race of what promises to be an enthralling season. Welcome along then to the Australian Grand Prix. Can Mercedes start with victory in their bid to win a 7th consecutive Constructors' title? Could Ferrari or Leclerc establish an advantage early on? And with 22 cars on the grid, how quickly can the new team find their footing? Well, it's great to be back, Anthony Davidson. We've got a lot to talk about this year.
That's right, Crofty. It felt like a long winter, but it's good to finally be back. I have to think the usual suspects will battle it out at the front, but there are always going to be some teething problems early on in the season, so whoever can keep on top of their issues will have the advantage today.
As I mentioned earlier, we're up to 11 teams this season, with a new entry run by, well, of all things, an owner-driver. That's something we haven't seen in this sport since Hector Raback over 4 decades ago. So how are they looking so far?
Ever since their participation was announced, there were questions being asked about whether an outfit like this could survive, and certainly it's proving to be a trial by fire so far. Let's hope they can continue to draw in investment and find a little more pace as well.
It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday puts him on pole, and starting alongside in P2 is Sebastian Vettel. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Hamilton, Alexander Albon and Verstappen, Norris, Giovinazzi, Ricciardo and Carlos Sainz. Raikkonen, Ocon, Kevin Magnussen and Grosjean, Stroll, Kvyat, Pierre Gasly and Sergio Perez, Schumacher, Russell, Latifi and Day. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out. Then let's see who can prevail today.
Okay, I know it's your home Grand Prix, but treat it like any other race. Don't take unnecessary risks.
Alright, we shall do that. Welcome, guys, to the very first race of this 10-year career mode. Could you imagine me being here in the actual year 2030 and we're still uploading this series? Can't relate. I mean, it probably would take me that long to get through 10 seasons of a career mode, knowing my luck. But anyway, let's hope that that's a thing of the past. One-stop strategy, softs to mediums, and looks like we actually gained a bit of time out of that. So it looks like we've outsmarted the AI, or just the game itself. It's kind of unbelievable to me that the game wouldn't suggest the best strategy mathematically on paper. We've had to go and find that out for ourselves. So Benjamin Daly out here is literally just the one-man band running the team, the finances, and I'm doing the strategy. I'm doing the bloody driving as well. Shall I just kick Jeff out of his throne in the garage and do his job for him as well? Who knows? I also noticed there's my face. I am my own tyre guy on the front right, so keep an eye out for him over the course of the career mode. But 5 red lights, and we are away for Marduk Motorsport. Let's see how long it takes for us to make our mark in the world of Formula 1. On current pace, it's going to take us a while. Back markers, and my start has been horrendous. A bad start, a bad turn 1, a bad turn 2, turn 3. That's where our season starts. I know I'm a little bit jokey at the moment, but I do need to throw in a little bit of humor at the moment because we're not going to be fighting for anything serious, at least for a little while. So let's see how we go. I do want to move forward in this race, and I feel like we can because race pace has always been my strength as opposed to qualifying. We've got a good strategy up our sleeve, and with the AI squabbling, with simulation damage, just anything can happen in these races, and that's the positive mindset that I'm going to have in this career mode. I'm going to be very aggressive, very positive, and I'm going to be trying to make the most of any opportunity that gets thrown my way. Desperation is our our strategy, I suppose. Just taking everything as it comes. We've got past the Latifi. Next up is Russell. We did actually run into the back of him ever so slightly, and on simulation damage, it is unforgivable. But thankfully, the closing speed or the contact that we made was very, very... we were running the same speed, and it was very light contact, so we got away with that up the inside, and we're now P20 in this Australian Grand Prix. Here's the replay on board from George Russell, looking out the back of the rear wing. We're just close enough there into the braking zone. We made the most of it. He had to give up the position. We forced him onto the curb, which doesn't lend itself well to a good exit, and we set ourselves up quite well to punch out of there with the position, and we're through. Next up is Pierre Gasly. However, he is making some inroads on Mick Schumacher. Mick had an amazing start, by the way, in the opening lap of the race, and now you can see Gasly has just got right back past him again, so that is unfortunate to see that we are going maybe backwards a little bit. We might have already settled into our natural position for the rest of the race, but I don't imagine with all this battling that's going up on ahead that is going to be the case. Someone has got front wing damage up here. I believe it's Giovinazzi in the Alfa Romeo. That car in which is massively overestimated in terms of performance at the start of this game's life cycle. The Racing Point has been really understated in terms of its performance as well. So I imagine the Alfa Romeo and the Racing Point to swap positions in terms of their performance index. So we'll see how that goes. Pit stop for us, and we've jumped one of the Alfa Romeos. So great stop there from the Marduk Motorsport boys. I haven't put a single cent into the into the pit stop development, if there even is any. But it looks like we've got the best guys in the pit lane, judged by that pit stop. That's amazing. I'm buying beers for them guys tonight. As long as you look after me, everything's gravy. So yeah, I feel like I'm gonna be a very harsh team boss in this career mode. If I had the choice to fire people on the spot, I would, just for the bands. But here comes my teammate Mick Schumacher. He comes in a few laps later. He's gone on to hards. Bad choice. I guess I should have let him know about the optimal strategy there. But everyone who stayed out the extra 3 or 4 laps there, that was a big undercut that we got on these guys. We've gained so much time on them, and we're on a better tyre relative to some of those around us. Next up is Kvyat. We're going to go around the outside into turn 3. Can we make it work though? Not quite. Didn't quite have the downforce to really pull that off, and I probably should have turned in a little bit earlier if I'm being overly critical on myself there. But it's P15, and this race is really starting to open up for us now with the strategy. I told you we were more of a chance in the race with everyone tripping over each other in the pit lane, on the circuit, not making the right strategy calls. Here's the Racing Point guys getting tangled up. I think that was Lance Stroll having a bit of a run-in with Sergio Perez there at the exit of turn 1, or the approach to turn 1, sorry. It's a bit of a clinching point. We could have done the same on one of the AlphaTauris, I believe, but we left them space on the way into the pit lane. We've got a McLaren up ahead who is retiring. That was Carlos Sainz. And I tell you, when I was driving this, I didn't see signs up ahead. I saw the yellow flags, and I was looking at the mini-map, actually, of all things, to see who the driver was. Little did I realize the hazard was approaching me very quickly, and thankfully I just saw him at the last second and was able to swerve out of the way. So it's P13. I don't know if there's any more stops that are going to happen in this race. If there are, we're going to be first to strike, I suppose. But now we've got Raikkonen right behind us. So let's hopefully turn defense into attack. That being just getting in front of Kvyat will hopefully get us away from Raikkonen. So let's set up the move into turn 3. Overtake mode is engaged, and we're going to see if we can pull it off around the outside this time. Yes, we can. We had much better track position there, and we were able to pull off that move a lot nicer. P12 in this Australian Grand Prix as we approach the halfway stage. Still no one in the pit lane. The Ferraris are leading the way massively in this Grand Prix. I believe Charles Leclerc is the lead Ferrari. We got Red Bulls in P2. Mercedes aren't doing amazing. Interesting. Really, really interesting to see the car performance so far. Once this performance patch comes out, which really, updates to the real life Formula One, I don't know, statistics and everything, there's going to be a big shake-up of the grid. Ferrari is going to get nerfed to all hell. Racing Point is going to shoot up the order. Alfa Romeo is going to go crashing down to earth. McLaren is going to get a buff. Maybe Renault with a slight buff as well. It'll be very interesting to see. But here we can see Raikkonen up our inside here as we head into the third sector. I thought I got an alright run into there, but Raikkonen in that Alfa Romeo has so much straight line speed. That has definitely got a big nerf coming. Once Codemasters update all of the performance of the cars. When that will be, it probably might be a little while away yet. But yeah, and Ferrari, enjoy your dominance while you can. We recently had Sebastian Vettel come out of the pit lane for a second stop in this race. So that's really killed his strategy, his track position in this one. But he'll be charging his way back into the top 5 if he can on fresher, soft compound tyres. We rejoin in the action, 5 laps to go. Raikkonen is catching up to Grosjean, who doesn't have good pace on those hard compound tyres. It looks like he's struggling for tyre wear, but on the hards, it's hard to imagine actually struggling for tyre wear at all. I think he's just struggling for pace in general, and that's really catching him out here as these two run side by side. I'm trying to pick my way through here, round the outside of Grosjean. Somehow we managed, we didn't even get to pull that off. We're still having to fight Grosjean here, round the outside through the middle sector. This is all a bit clumsy, but we do get the position. Tyre wear is really bad now, nearing on 60% for the left rear tyre. This is what I was fearing, was the aggression of the better tyre strategy is going to bite us a little bit at the back end of this race, and it's coming into fruition now. Sergio Perez is the danger man, and he's still backed up behind Grosjean. So as long as Grosjean can stay in front of Perez, we might be half a chance. But here comes Grosjean once again on the hard compound tyres into turn 3. He goes to the big boy dive bomb, but we managed to hold it around the outside with the better tyres, with the better pace, and we live to fight another day. This is Raikkonen attacking Kevin Magnussen, who is one position in front of me. So it looks like the Haas's are really struggling at this point in the Grand Prix. It's really weird. I can't put my finger on it. They're either just struggling for pace, or it's not tyre wear. Maybe it's fuel. Are they struggling on fuel, maybe? Fuel is one area, as we make a massive mistake there at the exit of the first sector, which let Sergio Perez through. Very frustrating. Fuel was one area we weren't struggling with. I actually put too much fuel in this car, and I was really having to run higher engine modes to keep the weight down. We still got over half a lap of fuel on board, and I guess going into further races, we're going to be underfueling the car massively, because this old Honda is pretty good on the efficiency, it seems. But Magnussen gets overtaken by Perez. This is all for the minor placings here. This will be for no points unless we can get in front of Perez and Magnussen, and by some miracle someone inside the top 10 can have a failure or something. Otherwise, we're not looking good for points here. I certainly don't think this race is over by any means. We've got to get in front of Magnussen here, but then we've also got to keep Grosjean at bay to get up the inside of the leading Haas. That is P12 for us. But again, we have a bit of breathing space as we head on to the final lap. Charles Leclerc is going to win the opening race of the season as he laps an AlphaTauri. No celebration there. It would be nice for Codemasters to let the drivers celebrate as they cross the line. It used to be a thing in the F1 games, but it's not anymore, as Lance Stroll strolling up onto my rear diffuser into the middle sector. Thankfully, he did not... Well, he went for the gap, but he didn't pull it off. That was a very silly choice in the end, because now he's lost about a second to us, and he's run out of overtaking opportunities to close out the race. And so it looks like it's going to be P12 for us in this Australian Grand Prix. An amazing fight back after being nowhere in qualifying. The strategy really paid off today. We got a bit lucky, but in the end, it's all for no points.
Alright, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
P12. Schumacher didn't have a great day. We managed to jump him in the pit stops. We do get driver of the day though, so they should award 25 points for that.
That's a fantastic performance from Ferrari. It hardly looked in doubt. So Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
Well, this was a real team victory. They put together a solid strategy today that appeared well suited to the conditions out on track. The driver did everything that was expected of them in the moment to really execute the team's plan to perfection, a shining example of how F1 really is a team sport.
Here come our winners now. A thrilling race and a tremendous effort by Ferrari. Their history is well known, so it's no surprise to fans the world over to see them come out on top once again.
There we go, Ferrari with the first blow of the season. Enjoy it while you can, Charles, because you've got a big nerf coming. I don't know, he might get away with the first season, depending on how quickly I rattle through the episodes. But that is the first one in the books, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. Leave a like if you did. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more F1 2020 content. I'm going to be uploading some setup videos, hot lap videos, online videos, and everything in between when it comes to this game. So make sure you are subscribed to see all of that stuff. But race director Schumacher ends up in 18th place. His fastest lap was actually pretty good in the end there, 25.3. I think that matched what I did. But he was just phasing in really well. He was getting stronger and stronger as the race wore on. Just showing that the hards were really holding out quite well. We were really just clinging on to whatever position we had towards the end there. A nice influx of cash there. 10k in damage. But overall, we get a net gain of $90,000. So that'll do quite nicely. And that ticks us over to 2.1 million in total. So with that money, we can spend that on facilities. We can upgrade some of our second driver's stats when it comes to maybe time in the simulator. But all that management stuff, I'll cover off in the next episode. I feel like I've really uploaded a lot for you guys. I've thrown a lot of information at you in a very short amount of time. So I'm going to leave this episode here today, guys. And I'll join you for episode 2, maybe even later today. It depends on how the upload schedule goes. At the very least, you'll get an episode tomorrow. And we'll continue the management of this team. In the next episode, we're going to bring in a second sponsor. And that'll help with the weekly influx of cash flow. Which will only help us develop the facilities and everything we need to have a successful F1 team. But yeah, there's so much to this game, and I'm still kind of just understanding it myself. Just bear in mind, it's going to take a few episodes for not only myself, but also you guys to get into the flow of my team. And I'm just excited to just really get stuck into it and show you guys how we go from rags to riches. I'm really looking forward to it. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Until the next one, I'll see you next time.